Hello there and welcome to FloridaMan40k. My name is Jimmy Prescott. Here with me today are Dan, Football Dad Smith.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
And John, Slayer of the Scouts, Lennon.
That's actually not my name.
Oh. Wait, what?
Why'd you have to open it up that way? That's... Poor John.
We'll get a little more into that in a moment. How is it going
keep making
for you
him
guys?
relive it. Why do we have to go back into that?
We got to talk all about it during this podcast, though, right? You guys are here for LVO talk. It was just last week. By the time this gets out, maybe a little longer. But we're talking about LVO, and that is important. We'll get to that. Dan, how's it going? You didn't go to LVO.
I did not go to LVO. I had personal stuff come up that I had to handle, and so I did. And made me sad to miss out on LVO, but that's actually, we'll get into this later too, one of my goals for this current season we're in now. So that's going to be something we talk about.
Yeah, beginning of the 2020 40K season, baby. It's going to be a good year. New goals, resolutions starting at the end of January. It's going to be a good time. We'll talk about those too.
Yeah.
John, how about you? How are you feeling on this fine night?
I mean, the post-LVO hangover is super real. I haven't actually caught up on sleep from it yet because, unfortunately, life happened to hit me extremely hard the second I got off the plane back from Vegas. But that's okay. We're slowly recovering, and I will sleep for 12 hours tonight.
All right, yeah. Well, first topic. What were we jumping right into?
Oh, of course, LVO.
Okay.
Yeah, we might as well start with the large tournament that has ever been held.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing serious there.
Yeah. So, of course, I'm just going to go ahead and spoil everything for us. LVO is huge for Brohammer because we had two members in the top 4, not just top 8, but top 4. We won best team, and it was in large part to the wonderful man sitting to my right.
Jimmy is also sitting to his right, but I think he means me.
Yes.
Yeah. So, both, I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast knows, both Richard Siegler and John Lennon made top 4. It was exciting and outstanding. And with that, Lennon, just dive in. Tell us whatever you want about LVO. I guess Jimmy's going to make you talk about a scout.
I don't want to talk about the scout.
What was the scout's name?
He's dead to me. I don't care.
That's the
I will
problem.
never acknowledge.
He's at home with his wife and kids right now, talking all about how John Lennon didn't kill him.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Alright, so LVO was fantastic. My goal going in was to hit top 8 for the event. Obviously I managed to achieve that, which was just fantastic. I've talked a lot about LVO and the Breviathan list, as we are now calling it, which I love, on the Best in Faction podcast. They're our friends, so as always, go listen to them. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit here too. The Breviathan list was super stupid. According to our last episode, I hadn't picked between Imperial Fists and Iron Hands yet. Well, I picked Iron Hands, and that list was dumb. It was a Leviathan Dreadnought, 40 Intercessors, 9 Eliminators, 3 Chaplain Dreadnoughts, and, Pharos, an Apothecary, and Lieutenant. So, all the stupid things you could fit in one list. It was a giant death ball of fun that no one could actually kill, except for Manny Chima, but we'll get to that later. He could only kill most of it. Honestly, it was a great experience. I'm not going to talk about every game because not all of them were close, but all of them were fun. I definitely played 8 consecutive really good, really fun opponents. 7 people who I had never played before. So getting to play new opponents is always fantastic. I knew a lot of them just through the community. I just hadn't played all of them yet. So this was definitely a really good event for me. Really, the list was designed to go second and score points while not giving up points, and it did that. I think when I played 8 games, I went second in 7 of them, and the one I went first is because Steve, Mean, Green, Pampreen made me go first. And that made me sad because even against Raven Guard, I wanted to go second.
Yeah. So real fast, I want to jump in. Mm-hmm. With the Breviathan list, a lot of people that I saw on like Twitch chats and have talked to and stuff, a lot of people think the way to beat that list is to go touch it. They see it as a shooting list, and I try to tell people, like, it's a melee army that's disguised as a shooting army. Would you agree? And if so, like, you don't have to go into all the little detail, but just touching it isn't enough.
So, the list is actually a melee army, 100%. However, I decided to try a new combat delivery method. Normally, I play White Scars, which is about the same melee output as this army, and I just rely on being fast enough to get into melee with people. And usually that works. However, this time I tried it differently. I made a very slow melee army, and I gave it so many guns that people would want to get in melee with me. And that's pretty cool. Because very few people can outshoot me, so they try to get close, and then I am close to them, and with shock assault and all of the complete and utter bullshit that the list has packed into it, I can out-melee almost anyone. But if they happen to die to shooting before I get there, so be it.
Yeah. And that's, I think, honestly, why it's as good as it is. Because, like you just said, it's not the best shooting army in the game. There are better armies strictly in shooting. Yeah, totally. And there are better armies strictly in combat. But it's like, it's A tier in both. Where most of the time, if you're like A tier plus in one of those categories, you're severely lacking in the other.
Yeah.
Tau being the perfect example. And they're not even that great at shooting. But
yeah, this is better shooting than Tau, with also better melee and better durability.
And better shield drones.
It's just better Tau.
Yeah. I think really where the strength lies is in that durability, though. Because
oh, yeah, totally.
Why we've seen the Siegler Tau list do so well throughout the season is having the same amount of firepower at the end of the game as you do in the beginning. The Leviathan operates on a very similar principle, where it's like you just can't damage the thing that's killing your army.
No, you cannot.
And I think that's something we've really learned this year in the ITC format, I guess, is durability is key. The Jim Vessel list was damaging, untargetable damaging characters inside of a super durable bubble.
Yeah. The
Tau list, Riptides aren't untargetable, but they may as well be, and Sibmanders, which are untargetable, surrounded by a durable bubble. And then this list is essentially the same, but you can target the Leviathan, but you're wasting your time. He's immortal.
Yeah. He is immortal.
So all three of those lists function on the same concept, but each one has improved on what the previous one did.
Yeah. It's almost like it doesn't have an impressive damage output in a single turn, but you're not reducing its damage output in any turn.
Exactly.
So over 6 turns, you're doing enough damage to eliminate the
yeah, absolutely. It definitely does function similar to the Tau list in that aspect. And really, I mean, I think if you look at, the 4 largest events in the United States this year, which is Adepticon, SoCal, Nova, and LVO, you can even throw Pro Tabletop in there, or Wars in Atlanta, like, that same style, that same, army philosophy is what ended up coming out on top. I just think that's the best way to play ITC missions in 8th edition.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of what I was getting at, is the ITC format specifically, because you score as many points through objectives and board control as you can by killing models, you don't have to go leaf blower when a more balanced approach enables you to score the most points in any given game.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about the Leviathan list, that it feels like it's a combination of both the Jim Vessel list and the Siegler list, in that it's hyper durable, you can't shoot through it quickly, which they both have. It has guns like the Tau list, and then when you get close, it has melee like the Chaos list. But it just has all of those things.
Yeah. And no surprise here, Space Marines took what everyone else was doing and just did it a little bit better and all at once. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have been talking about the list, as we call it, because I ran it, Richard Siegler ran it, Ruben ran it, Richard Martin ran it, Tim Penny ran it. Cody ran a similar version, okay. But, we call it the list because we just all kind of settled on it. Really, it's the Brohammer list. It was formed exclusively by Brohammer members. No one outside of Brohammer had literally any influence on the units taken in it, especially not Aurelio Correa. Definitely not him. Yeah, he had no influence on this list.
Especially the Leviathan. He
tried to talk us out of it, which was kind of weird. We were talking about the Leviathan, he tried to tell us it was trash and that we shouldn't take it, but we kind of ignored him and took it anyway, and it worked out pretty well. So that went well. Really though,
Have you given a rundown? I'm sure on other podcasts so far, but we haven't talked about it in this podcast so far.
On why like the Leviathan doesn't die?
Yeah, like the rundown on the list, even just like the basic use of stratagem.
I really stumbled through the word Leviathan there. That was pretty cringy. Okay, so
you do a lot of cringy stuff. It's okay.
That's fine. So let me alright, so let me break down why the Leviathan doesn't die. So really, it all hinges on the stratagem Cogitative Martyrdom, which basically at the beginning of the shooting phase, so shooting only, watch out for mortal wounds, you pick an infantry unit, and then anytime a character loses a wound within 3 inches of that infantry unit, Iron Hands of course, you roll a dice, and on a 2-up it doesn't lose that wound, and instead you take a mortal wound on the Iron Hands infantry unit. So the problem with that is that you lose a wound after you fail a Feel No Pain roll for Iron Hands. So what happens is you shoot at a Leviathan Dreadnought. You have to hit it, you have to wound it, I have to fail my 4-up invuln. Then if I have spent a command point, because I'm a double battalion list that does not use command points on literally anything besides defense, I have the damage of whatever you shot me with. Then, because I have the Ironstone near him and there's nothing else that needs the Ironstone, I subtract 1 from the damage. So anything damage 1, 2, 3, or 4 becomes damage 1. Great. Then I take a 5-up Feel No Pain because Leviathan's my warlord and that's his warlord trait. One of the 2 that I take. He takes the 5 Feel No Pain every single time. Then I pass off that mortal wound if I pass off that wound if I fail the 5 of Feel No Pain. I pass it off to an infantry unit nearby. So what I did a couple times was I took a intercessor unit and shoved them in that giant L that we were using at LVO on the top 100 tables, and the Leviathan was outside just walking up the table. And so then anytime the Leviathan took damage, it's like, great, alright, you hit, wound, fail a save, quarter the freaking damage. You take it from damage 4 to damage 1. If it's higher than that, maybe you take 2 wounds. You never take more than 2 wounds. And then, boom, you make a Feel No Pain, then you pass it off to the intercessor, and then maybe that intercessor makes a Feel No Pain. It's insane how hard it is to do damage to that. Now you can kill the intercessors first, and I always tell people, like, this is like playing Tau, you don't get to interact with my army until the shield drones are dead. We don't start playing the game until I'm out of intercessors. When that happens, you start putting that stratagem on the characters. And this really came up in Game 6 against Manichima. Let's say you put it on Ironfather Pharos. Pharos stands behind the Leviathan, you can't shoot him. And Pharos is a 7-wound model with a 5-up Feel No Pain naturally. He doesn't even need an apothecary. So again, you have to do so much damage to Leviathan, and then you push it through to Pharos, who ignores a third of it. So you essentially get 9 extra wounds on Leviathan without having to kill Pharos. If he takes 9 mortal wounds, makes 3 Feel No Pains, he still has a wound left. That's 9 wounds that have to go through the Leviathan before the Leviathan starts taking damage, and then he has his normal 14 left. And then once that happens, you get to both heal the Leviathan with Pharos and heal Pharos with the apothecary. So you double up on your Feel No Pain, you double up on your healing. You cannot target the things that I'm passing the wounds off to. Your damage is basically being reduced to 1 at literally all points of the game. I'm tough to say with the 4-up invuln that you have to get through first. It's just so hard to kill the Leviathan with shooting.
And the Leviathan's also a 2-up armor, correct?
Yeah, it's a 2-up armor too.
So, like, the scenarios that usually would work the best into a Leviathan, you can't really do las cannons for strength 9, because D6 damage becomes 1, 2 at best. And then if you want to try to dice him down with a high volume of strength 5 AP2, like that's strength 5, strength 6 AP2 is probably the most efficient gun to put into him. Even still, you're only wounding a third of the time, and putting him on that 4-up save, he's saving half of that. So if you put 20 strength 5 shots, let's just say you get all hits, you wound not even 10 times, he stops 5 of those, that's 5 damage, then he Feel No Pain. So like 20 shots just turned into 2 damage that he might just pass off, or he'll take up to 3 because he knows Pharos is going to heal him off.
Yep. Yeah, so, I'll always take 3 on the Leviathan, nice and easy, because Pharos will heal it, then I'll start passing.
So, to put this into perspective, the Repulsor Executioner, which everyone was terrified of when Iron Hands first came out, probably does 3 damage total to the Leviathan.
Yeah. Which might also just kill an intercessor in a squad behind a rock. Instead of, like, that's what it does. And if you shoot that repulsor at the intercessors directly, yeah, you kill like 6 or 7 of them, awesome. But I don't let you do that. I'll stick little things out of line of sight. or I have 40 intercessors and I don't care if I lose them because I'm just las cannoning your repulsor off the board.
Exactly. So, like,
It's not
that
good.
trade is just negative from the start for the player attacking the Leviathan list.
Yeah, the Leviathan trades better than anything else in the game, I think.
Exactly.
And I do think it is the best list in the game, and I do think Games Workshop needs to remove it from the game as fast as they can physically type it out in FAQ.
But until they do that...
Until they do, I think it's the best list in the game.
Yeah.
So, hey, run it. Have fun. We put a lot of effort into designing this bitch.
Yep. And if someone tries to call you a dirty net lister...
We wrote the net list.
Yeah, like, we wrote it, so we can't be the net listers.
Yeah,
So we'll just support you in saying, go be a dirty net lister.
Oh, absolutely.
Go get the Leviathan.
I support netlisters literally all the time. Like, you guys do it. Like, if someone else did the work, go profit from it. Why not?
Absolutely.
And you bring this to your local RTT, you're going to win that.
You might. It's harder to play than it looks, but it doesn't mean it's rocket science. Like, it's not as hard as Gene Slurkle, but it is a little more difficult than it looks.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful sometimes. Like, if you see someone with Assault Centurions in front of you, you need to be very careful not to charge them with your Leviathan.
Yeah.
But it's always difficult. It's just the little decisions like that that really...
real tempting to throw your Leviathan into melee against one of the best melee units in the
That
game.
is tempting sometimes, but you have to stay strong and do anything else literally at all.
Literally do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, that's
the Leviathan.
Yeah.
And I love that name forever.
Again, there's a lot of little things. You can read through the supplement and codex. Watch some of the streams. Both Lennon and Ziegler were on stream a ton because of how well they did.
The 40k Stat Center stream was awesome, by the way. If you guys haven't watched it, it's great to rewatch. It doesn't cost money, and they're fantastic.
That was absolutely my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say my third favorite thing about LVO weekend. The obvious two being how well my teammates did and our team winning. But after that stream was outstanding.
Yeah. I went back and rewatched some of it for the games that weren't mine, and it was really cool. Like, I'm super excited to see that level of that quality content applied to other events. I'm really hoping they do something like that for Adepticon, where I probably won't be in attendance.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch that happen.
I loved having the Falcon down there getting updates and like...
Oh, I love having the Falcon down there. Feels so good.
Oh, I know it. Okay, so I don't know if we actually clarified, but John did get 4th overall at the LVO. We won't go into detail and make him relive it. There was a Mortal Scout.
I'll give a little bit.
Okay, a Mortal Scout versus a Mortal Leviathan. Take it from there.
All right. So 2 games really to highlight, which is not to diminish any of the other games I played. Round 6 against Manny Chima. I went second on Hammer and Anvil against a complete abomination of an army, where I got shot by 9 indirect fire pieces and lost, literally everything on turn 1. What really matters is that by the beginning of my turn 3, my army had gone down to 6 models, all of which had the character keyword. But I hid behind that Leviathan for dear life, and I was able to squeak out a win because the Leviathan blocked for my characters and Manny was not able to get a kill on his turn 4 or 5, while I kept picking things, holding more, scoring secondaries. I was able to eke out a very close victory. It was a fantastically close game. It confirmed that there would, never mind. There was a European player in the top 8 still. But it meant that there weren't 2. And, USA. But Manny was absolutely great to play against. The Jammy Manny dice are real and terrifying. God, the Jammy Manny dice scare me. But it was a really fun game. I was really proud of the way I played in that one. Just because it felt like the kind of game that I would lose in the past. Where I would play against a really good player. I would, do something well. I'd make it a much closer game than they were expecting. And then I would lose by 1 point on turn 6 because something weird happened. Like, I've done that so many times where, it's like, oh, you played a great game, John. Super impressive, but you lost by 1. And that's the kind of thing that I feel has happened to me many times and will happen to me in a couple turns. But getting into the top 8 of LVO against such a high caliber, big name player like Manny Chima, who is often in discussion for best player in the UK.
Yeah, and I actually heard on 3 different podcasts people predicting that Manny was going to win the entire LVO. And so, you didn't even let him get to the top 8 to try it.
No. It was kind of a tragedy that we played round 6, because I feel like that was that was a game that should have been top 8. But when we play on round 6, one of us has to lose because Brohammer only ties other Brohammer.
It's true.
Those are the facts. So really at that point, that was a really good game to win. I managed to skip the shadow round. I was in 3rd place after day 2. So I did not have to play that 7th round, which means I got to go and eat while both of my richer boys played the ghost round. Martin, unfortunately, fell short, but I just have to give him a huge shout out for taking an army that, again, is not as easy to play as it looks. I know it looks easy to play. There is some skill involved. He played 1 game with it last Sunday at my house. So, literally less than 2 weeks ago as we recorded this, he played 1 practice game and then took it to LVO, dropped a 6-0 on us, and got to the ghost round before he lost to Boris by 2 points. Yeah. So, great performance for Martin. Getting into the top 12 like that was really great for the team score.
Yeah, and I think he finished 10th overall, which is still...
Yeah, his 10th, 11th, something in that range. It was
freaking amazing.
It was fantastic. I'm super proud of Richard Martin. What a guy. He probably is not even going to listen to this, but I love him anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it, Richard.
Dang it, Richard.
Richard, listen to this.
Richard Martin.
I could have gotten 2nd place at ATC last year, but you had to go and pick Martin over me.
Yeah, well, Martin's clutch.
Martin is absolutely clutch.
Richard Martin's clutch, man.
When he told me that for ATC last year, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Richard Martin's clutch. That's what it comes down to. So I ended up playing Steve Pamprine round 7, which was fantastic. I'd never played against Steve before. But I'd talked to him before. He's a really cool guy. I'd heard some great things about him. Getting to play him was very fun. I did win that game. I was able to just get too much board control with the Leviathan early on and just really keep his army pinned back and just was bonusing and holding more, and that did him in. Unfortunately, just kind of stopped him from being able to mount a comeback. He had to get desperate with Centurions, and he lost too many in the process. He actually killed the Leviathan, which was surprising.
In close combat, right?
In close combat with Centurions. He shot it with his entire army that was +1 to hit and wound against characters. Did not kill him with, I think it's literally 17 Centurions worth of shooting.
Yeah.
But the charged was able to finish him off, just barely.
Yeah, so let me just say as well, this is the part where I started to become vested in the success of both John and Richard Siegler, and I started taking pictures. So if you're on YouTube, you may see some pictures cycling through here. But in that game against Pamprine, I was sitting next to his teammates, and while Will and I were sitting next to each other talking shit about Pamprine, his teammate was literally sitting to the right of me, very excited about how he had just killed the Leviathan. And we're like, but I mean, he's a little too far gone at this point.
Yeah, it was a little too late. Just because by the time he had done it, he had lost a lot of Centurions, and the ones who killed the Leviathan just because of placement weren't able to get a wrap. So I was able to finish off both Assault Centurion squads that turn.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a little too much to overcome, unfortunately. But still, I think Steve was a great player and a really fun opponent. And again, he made it to 7-0 at that point because he had won his Ghost Round game. So obviously very skilled as well. And I think he actually finished 5 or 6 in the ITC. So again, great season for Steve. So that was fun.
Yeah. He did a lot of it this year with Orcs, too, which I really enjoyed.
Always impressive.
He was playing Orcs up until Space Marines because Space Marines are just that good.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're playing before Space Marines. You're a Space Marine player now.
Yep.
Pretty much. I did, unfortunately, lose the next game, round 8, against Mr. Bradchester. Bradchester was also running Raven Guard, a very similar list to Steve. I break down how I lost that game on the Best in Faction stream, or on their podcast. However, a lot of it can be said about my dice, but you can never just blame dice.
Let's highlight that part, though. What happened with your dice?
Alright, so I needed to kill 1 Space Marine Scout to win the game. 1 Space Marine Scout. That's all I needed to kill.
A single toughness 4 wound.
Single toughness 4, 1 wound model who's not standing in cover. And I managed to roll 5 consecutive 2s to wound on AP 3 or better guns.
Yeah. And that scout, we are now naming...
No, we're not naming him.
His name is
I don't know. I don't want to hear it.
Hans Gretzkel.
We're gonna get that out.
And this message is to you, Hans. We don't feel bad. Thank you very much for your service to the Emperor. And we're glad that you're sitting home right now eating a nice steak, having a beer with your family. And we'll see you next year.
To be fair, the scout died when Seaver killed him.
No, he's fine.
That's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
He went home. It was a new unit of scouts that came in and helped out.
Okay.
But Hans, he will live eternally. He got to retire after that.
Jimmy, I'm kicking you off, Brohammer.
Not just the podcast, the entire team.
The entire team. Yeah, so not killing a Space Marine Scout unfortunately kept me off top table LVO and kept me from getting second place in the ITC. So, really a bummer, but yes, average dice would have won me that game, but I also had put myself in a position where I couldn't recover from taking a turn like that, like just having a really bad shooting phase. Because no matter how many redundancies you build into your army, no matter what you do, it's possible that you have a shooting army that has a bad shooting phase. It can happen to anyone. Unfortunately, so I made Brad go first, and he immediately killed like 23 intercessors, a number that was higher than what I was expecting. Let me put it that way. I was not expecting to lose as many as I did. And it really forced me into a more conservative game where I was not trying to cross the midfield and just destroy him, because he had his 20 sniper scouts with the +1 to wound, mortal wounds on 5s. So I was playing more cagey, using my ruin, shooting him, plinking him, going for little points like hold more, kill more, rather than just trying to beat his army into submission. I'm pretty comfortable playing that kind of game, and I had positioned myself to a spot where, again, I was one Space Marine Scout away from winning the game. So I'm happy about that, but I could have done a better job screening. I could have done a better job positioning my melee. I screened with bodies of intercessors. I should have screened with smaller units farther out that could have been wrapped, and just positioned my Chaplain Dreadnoughts better, so that if he had wrapped, I could have just charged him with a damage 4 Chaplain Dreadnought. Either fight on death or fight twice, wipe out a Scent Squad. It doesn't matter. I don't have to shoot him, and then I don't lose as many intercessors, because he either goes for the wrap, or he kills 10 of them and then dies.
Yeah, and 5 Centurions for 10 intercessors is not...
It's not even a trade he's willing to take. Like, at that point, he doesn't even go for it. He goes for something else. And again, that's me not having enough experience into Raven Guard. That's me not playing it as well as I could have. There were a couple of other little things. I mean, he had 15 Sniper Scouts deal 11 mortal wounds to Pharaohs. That made me the big sad. But it didn't kill Pharaohs. It just killed the lieutenant who was standing next to him and did 6 wounds to Pharaohs. Still wasn't great, but, there's always room to play better. On my turn 5, he didn't get a kill, so I was like, oh, let me just pop out and get a kill, and then I'll get a kill more point. That's awesome. Doing so gave him Pharaohs to shoot at, which meant that even if he shouldn't get that kill, on average, it lets him have the opportunity. His dice spiked a little bit, he got a lot of mortal wounds, and I had to pass off enough wounds to the lieutenant to kill him. So that's very disappointing as well. But again, I could have literally removed that possibility, let him get kill more that turn, and then go out for it turn 6 and get the kill then. And then I get the kill more on that turn, and then it cancels out.
Yeah.
Instead, it let him get a kill, and I didn't on turn 6 because of the scout failures, and that also cost me. And they also gave him a headhunter and a last strike, which was essential in him picking up a 1-point win.
He won by 1 point.
Yeah, because I let him get the kill on turn 6 instead of turn 5. And then that's 1 point. Like, there are ways that I can mitigate bad dice. There are ways you can mitigate these mistakes. I didn't use every single one. I put myself in a position where I needed the turn to go well to win. It went horribly. I lost by 1.
Yep.
I can't be mad about that. Brad played a great game, and Brad was an amazing opponent, for the record. We had a very good, intent-based, casual game. Like, I know it's round 4 of LVO. There's probably money on the line. It's supposed to be super high stakes. I let him switch to Tactical Doctrine during my shooting phase. Like, he let me go back and do Chaplain Chants multiple times that I forgot. We were both playing... We both made little mistakes that are obvious. Stuff like that. Like, I would shoot a unit and be like, oh, I never healed with my Apothecary. No problem, Brad let me go back. Very back and forth. We let each other do little adjustments like that. That was all in the spirit of the game. And that made the game a lot more enjoyable and a lot lower stress. So, shout out to Brad. It was a very fun, good, clean game. Obviously it's one I want to have back, but, that's the way it goes. You have to play perfect on that level.
And that's something I want to, kind of highlight in general, and specifically, is, sportsmanship at top tables. when you've gotten to that point, a lot of times, the best thing you can do, or the least stressful way to play, is to communicate with your opponent and say, hey, you know, like, the idea, the goal is to, like, I want to win my game because I outplayed you, not because of something stupid in a gotcha moment. Like, that, really, if you have to win a game because your opponent did something slightly out of order that doesn't truly have an effect on the game, then, like, I don't know, that just, it cheapens the win for me personally. And it feels like a lot of top-level players, and not all of them, but a lot of them, are very much willing to play a laid-back, easy game where it is a lot friendlier, because at the end of the day, the whole point is to have fun. And if you're like, feel like you're walking on broken glass or something around this person, like if you are playing chess and take your finger off the piece, oh, that's where you moved, you're done. Like if we're playing that tight, it's a really stressful game, and I don't know. So I've really liked watching and seeing how many good opponents there are at these top level events and on these top tables. And one I want to shout out is just Siegler in his semifinal game against Naden. Naden forgot to bring in all 3 units of Rangers at the end of turn 3. And if Siegler was just like, nah, bro, you forgot, like, that's literally game over. Because then Naden doesn't have OBSEC, Siegler gets kill more. I think that turn was also the turn he made the play to steal engineers, which was, like, huge. So Siegler could have just said, nope, you can't do that, and the game would have literally been over. Like, Siegler wins right there because of the board state and everything. But instead of winning that way, he would rather win by playing the game the way it's meant to be played. And that's what he did, and he won anyway and won the whole event. So I really like that we're seeing a lot of that in these top tables and the top level events, and that's just something I want to see even more of. So I know we've talked about it before, but just that open communication and good sportsmanship is just awesome.
Mm-hmm. I think the game in general is trending that way. I mean, you can look at what Nanavati did at the top table of Pro Tabletop, where the literal last dice roll of the game, he reminded Siegler that he was in fusion range, and it cost him first place of a major. Yeah.
With what, $5,000 at stake?
Yeah, it was $3,000 because he got second place, so he was guaranteed $2,000. But still, there's a $5,000 paycheck for first place, and on the literal, I think it was the last roll for Richard Siegler of the game
to determine if he wins or loses.
If he wins or loses, because if he doesn't get this, he loses.
Yeah.
Siegler fails to kill a librarian, and Nick's like, "Man, you're in melter range." Siegler rolls a second dice on the damage. It's high enough he kills librarian, wins.
Yeah. Which that was great too, because it was 4 damage on a librarian with 4 wounds and a 5-up feel no pain.
And he failed all 4 of them.
And
which is a tough break, but
that's
also the classiest thing like you could do. Like,
absolutely.
You see that 2 rolled on damage, the librarian can't die, and that's it. The librarian doesn't die, Nick wins by 1 point.
Yep.
But you're seeing the emergence of that style of play. We'll see how it continues to grow. I don't know if that's an ITC thing. I haven't played ETC ever, or the now World Tournament Circuit. I don't know what they're calling it now, but it's not ETC anymore. I think a lot of the European players, especially in ETC format, are a little more strict with the rules as written of things and are not as inclined to give takebacks. That's a different environment, though, so I don't want to say that that's right or wrong. That's just an environment I don't understand fully yet.
Yeah.
But we'll see if that continues to be the case, if maybe in singles format it's more relaxed. We'll see if in team format it's more relaxed and going forward in the future. That's a wait and see kind of thing, but I really hope that becomes the norm.
Absolutely. It's just, because honestly, like, I don't want to be stressed out at my hobby that I play to relax and have fun. Mm-hmm. And nobody does, really. So hopefully it continues on that trend.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So, with that, I had talked about it a little bit earlier, but we can, unless you had anything else you wanted to say about LVO, we can move on to our goals for the 2020 season.
I do actually have one thing I want to say about LVO. Again, we've already said it, I think, twice. Brohammer is number 1 in the ITC.
Woo! We won.
We won. It's awesome. It's absolutely the number 1 goal that I've had for I don't know, since I was aware of the ITC. So getting to achieve it, especially with such a fantastic group of guys, it was just the best. Like, bringing home the team trophy was, without a doubt, absolutely the number one goal for the season. It was the number one goal going into LVO. The best part about getting top 8 was that it cemented the team score for us.
Yeah.
That was the best part of it. It was the same for Richard. I know Richard wanted to win ITC. He wanted to win LVO, and he did both those things. But he was also saying to me before the event, he's like, we're going to get best team. And that was the goal. That's why we took the list and designed it the way we did and shared it among the teams so that 5 of us could bring it. It was so that this would happen. Because I think all 5 of the people who brought the Broviathan list put a contributing score into Brohammer. Yeah. So it's 10 scores, 5 of them were LVO results from the list. Like, what else can you do?
Yeah. And going back a little bit, it's almost like surreal because I think I've talked about it before, but like I was one of the founding members of Brohammer. And
it was only like 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2016. And our entire purpose at the time was just to improve sportsmanship in the local community while still fostering a competitive environment. And our goals really early on were to win Crucible. Like that was the goal, is we wanted to have one of the guys from Brohammer win Crucible, go to ATC and put up a positive record. I think that was our year 1 goal.
Yeah.
And
I don't think we met that year 1.
No. And then I think because Miles, won. That was when Miles won with Fly Rinse.
Was that the one Miles won, or was that the one that the guy from Georgia whose name I keep forgetting?
It might have been when Will was top table.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, because, so my first Crucible, we're going on a tangent, but I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. So my first Crucible was won by Flying Hive Tyrants literally the same week that I told someone that Tyranids were terrible, they can't win anything.
Oh, you have little faith.
That's happened to me a lot. That's why I keep doing it, because I want Tyranids to do well.
Yeah, great.
And that was, I think, when we started Brohammer, because while we were there were some less than awesome games. Like, I think I actually dropped from the event and helped judge 2 or 3 games because there were not enough judges. It was super contentious. Specifically one game where I was a Chaos player that brought an Eldar army, and there was Chaos versus Eldar. Models were about to be thrown. So I just stood there with a judge with the rule books because I knew how to find them with the judge. Like, so that was kind of what drove us to want to just improve the sportsmanship locally. And, yeah, anyways, fast forward from that to now, like winning the ITC, having not just like 1 or 2, but 9 guys in the top 100. Like, it's insane how big this thing has gotten and how great we're doing. And it's entirely the team. So that's all I got to say about that. Like, great job to all of my guys.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of them will listen to it because they probably comprise a large part of our viewership. In addition to Australia, for some reason.
I love Australia.
I also love Australia.
Our Australian bros about that.
But, yeah, no, so just being able to achieve that, I mean, having a team goal like that, it was just, honestly, it was incredible. Like, that's the highlight of me playing 40. I don't want to call it a career because only Richard Siegler makes money on this, not me. But the highlight of my 40K career so far has been the team achievement of best team in the ITC.
We do still have 1 team goal left.
We still have 1 team goal left.
2.
2?
Yeah.
We have to win ATC.
We have to win ATC.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have to defend our title.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, I mean, absolutely. We're doing both. It's not enough to win. You got to do it twice.
Yep. Winning once is a spike.
That's a fluke. Really, it doesn't mean anything.
But winning multiple times is when you build a dynasty.
Winning twice, yep. I'm all about that.
Build a dynasty.
Dynasty? I've never been sure how to pronounce that.
Like this year we're the Golden State Warriors. We want to be the Patriots. And I never thought I would say that. But here we are.
Just show up and win every year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, I would love to. So we'll see if we can keep it going. I would absolutely love to, but the competition gets harder every year.
Absolutely.
So
it's amazing to me how many great players there are out there.
Oh, yeah.
It is insane. Go ahead.
As we seem to be moving toward a more standardized game, you've got bigger and bigger players coming in. Not just like individual players who are playing the game, but like the sponsors and things like that. The game is really taking a turn towards professional players. And as that comes around, it's going to become more of a difficult competitive scene. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be interesting. See what comes of the next year and the years after that. But speaking of which, goals for 2020. We each have aspirations. Dan, what do you feel about the upcoming year?
So for myself personally, this past season I actually missed my goal because I didn't make it to LVO, and that was to finish top 100. I was in the top 100 for a good 3 to 4 months this year, but then fell to 145. So I've upped it a little bit and made my new goal for the 2020 season to finish top 75. So that's a 70 spot jump from where I finished this season. In addition to that, and how I'm going to achieve that, is I am planning to go to Nova, LVO, ATC is every year. And then I want to try to hit either SoCal or like BAO. I need to get out there and go play majors that aren't in the Southeast, because I know I can do all right in the Southeast. I need to see how I can do in the entire country. So that's my goal, because that'll also get me a really realistic idea of my player skill on the macro level instead of the micro level. And I also want to win 3 GTs in this season because I won 2 last season. So you got to improve. You don't want to go down. Now, if that's going to happen, who knows, because this meta is insane. I play with literally the best team in the ITC. They're at every event I go to. I got a lot of competition. So we'll see if I can do that last one. But with that being said, Jim, what are your goals?
Well, I consider 2019 my year of hoarding, where I was just gathering up and painting the models that I was most interested in. So right now I'm moving into 2020, owning several armies, but now trying to focus on just a few. So the idea is focusing on, you guys know I love Tyranids. I'm doing Forces of the Hive Mind. So that will include my Tyranids, my Genestealer Cult, and also Astra Militarum, which I own most of the lines for all 3 of those armies now.
Yeah.
So
it's a little disgusting, honestly.
Yeah. I'm excited. So we're moving into the next season. You know, they've moved into a good place with Psychic Awakening. Another Psychic Awakening that's coming out that's supposed to be buffing the Genestealer Cult and Astra Militarum. So there's more to come. And that has put them in realistically a good place. A good middling ground. They're still in that high competitive environment with a few list options. Mm-hmm. So the beginning of the 2020 season, I'm going to be playing those and basically committing to playing those throughout the year. One of the biggest problems that I've had in 2019 is not having a specific army that I'm dedicating to. So I'll move from event to event and be playing a different army almost every event. Like I played Genestealer Cult for just one event in this past year. And most of the time it was Knights, and then I took like a 6-month break. And then also having a situation where the next event I'm going to play Space Marines, and I spend the entire month or 2 months before that event painting, and I don't get to practice. So this year, 2020, the vision is changing. I'm going to be focusing on 1 or 2 armies, and then I'm going to have a lot of it painted already from the previous year. And then if there's anything that's not painted, just getting it through a 3-color minimum, not trying to win any painting prizes or anything, which was never really like a realistic thing to begin with where I currently am. And then just playing with that, practicing a bunch, getting to the point where I feel confident, so it takes away that anxiety that has kind of taken me away from events. So that's kind of the long answer that gets to my goal for this year is just becoming a more competitive player, getting away from just I'm dedicating to painting things and, you know, playing a bunch of armies that I've never seen before, just dedicating to 1 or 2 armies and getting really good at it. Yeah. And seeing where I can end by the end of the year with that mentality.
I love it.
Yeah. And Lennon, I like your goals as well. Not to segue too quickly from yours, Jimmy, because I honestly, like, I need that type of a focus. I jump around a lot too.
Yeah.
But when I come back to Chaos, I normally have my best results, not counting Space Marines, because that's a weird
That's different.
closet corner case. But yeah, like, really, when I come back to my army, I perform the best. And I think you are passionate about Tyranids, you enjoy Tyranids, and Genestealer Cult, so getting to use an army that you're passionate about, you're going to be more excited and enjoy it more. So you're just going to have more fun at the table, and you're going to perform better because you're there to have fun, not just stress about, well, I'm playing this super cheese, and if I lose, it's like everyone's going to judge me. Like, no, you're just playing, like, there's Jim, he's the Hive, like, Forces of Hive Mind player, and watch out because, like, he could get you. Like, that's a good place to get to.
Yeah. And, like, basically the basic outline of it is I'm going to be playing Tyranids, Forces of the Hive Mind, and then if for at some point I'm no longer confident in that as a competitive option, I'm falling back on the Space Marines that I have. If I need to supplement a little bit, yeah, I'm just going to be practicing with them intermittently throughout the year.
Yeah.
But right now, Forces of the Hive Mind are in a really good place. If in 6 months that needs to change, I'll reevaluate.
I would say, like, Space Marines to you would be like Tau to me. Like, I actually don't even own a Tau army right now, but I've played against them, practiced with and against them so much, I know that army incredibly well too. You're going to be playing against Space Marines. You're going to have to know what they do. That's not a bad contingency plan to have that army in reserve in case, like, if your Tyranids builds just go to crap and it's just you're playing the game on hard mode and then some. If you know Space Marines really well, like, it doesn't hurt to have a fallback army just so you keep having fun. Because it's not fun to just set up your models, have them removed, and then go home. Like, that's not fun.
Yeah.
But hopefully the game stays balanced enough to where you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and really, Horses of the Hive Mind, you're dealing with 3 different codexes. If none of those codexes are good, you're going to be in an issue, but it's kind of hard to get to that point from where we are right now. Like,
yeah, it's Games Workshop.
Yeah, it's true. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for this season. We'll see.
Yeah. But to come back to Mr. Lennon, your goals for this 2020 season.
Okay, so first off, I'm just going to point out my goals from the last season because I don't remember which podcast I said them on, but I remember saying them. I had 4. I hit 3.9 of them. It's kind of weird. I'll explain that in a second. So goal number 1 was number 1 team in the ITC. Brohammer, number 1. Check. Goal number 2 was to get top 10 in the ITC. Final result. End of the year. Check. I finished number 3, which I'm obviously super proud of. So close to top 2, but I could not quite catch the Canadian legend, Jim Vessel. So congratulations to Jim. But still, top 3 when I was aiming for top 10. Absolutely fantastic. Goal number 3, top 8 at LVO. Goal achieved. Finished number 4. Again, fantastically proud of that one. Super happy with how I've progressed at this game. So, you know, it's really good to look back and say, like, yes, the practice I've put in has been rewarded. Goal number 4 is the one that I always set, and that is get a Best in Faction award. I say 3.9 because I didn't get a Best in Faction trophy at LVO. However, when they posted the actual scores, I should have gotten a Best in Faction trophy for Best in Faction Space Marines. The guy who ended up getting Best in Faction Space Marine, the physical award that's printed on the ITC website, beat me by less than half a point. That's a common theme in this episode. Yeah. And I went and I clicked on his ITC profile, and he got double points for winning an ITC major. It's listed, you know, first place, and then the next event is the same event where he also got first place with the same army for the exact same points. And I'm like, that doesn't look right. So I did the math on it. If he doesn't get that event counted twice, I've got about 10 or 12 points on him. Mm-hmm. So I am personally chalking this one up as Best in Faction Space Marines. I do not have a trophy to prove it. I just have a couple of sad screenshots and then me emailing Frontline Gaming and them never responding. I hope they respond. That would make me feel better. Yeah. But I'm assuming they won't.
Yeah, because honestly, unless you contact the player that got that award, like, Frontline Gaming can be like, yep, you're right, you got it, and then I'll
screenshot that email and I'll hang it on my wall.
That's all you need.
That's all I need. No, I mean, that was goal number 4. I had a distinct ranking on them. And, you know, I know that I got it, so I'm going to count it as a successful goal, but it was also the number 4 goal, and the fact that I hit the first 3 means that I'm pretty happy either way. I don't need that trophy because it is not as cool as the best team trophy that I have not yet actually held because my flight was early, but I have pictures of it, and it will soon reside in my hobby room. Soon. As soon as it gets mailed to me, I will get my best team trophy and be happy forever.
And it's going to sit right next to that servo skull.
Well, we're going to have 2 servo skulls soon.
Yep.
After ATC
That'll
next
look
year.
Great. 2 servo skulls with the best team trophy right in the middle.
One has to be painted. Right now we have a gray one.
Yeah, we're going to get a painted one soon. It's coming in July, or June, actually.
Yep.
That's the goal for next year. So, goals for next year. Looking back at what happened. I'm just going to go big. The goal is to win LVO.
Absolutely.
I'll throw in the little ones. I want Brohammer to defend their title. I want to win ATC.
You say that's a little one. Win ATC, that's one of my secondary goals.
It's called the joke.
I would like to attend ATC.
Come to ATC.
Worst case scenario, I'll let you roll my dice for me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I'll throw in one more, which is get a best in faction trophy. We'll change it from last year because winning a best in faction was not specific enough. I would like to get a best in faction trophy this year.
So I want to throw in one more team goal.
One more.
And that is, I want 2 teams to bring home servo skulls from ATC.
Oh,
that team's
that is bold. I love it, and I say let's fucking go get it.
That is it.
Bold and spicy, my friend.
Or I will put this single contingency in. The only reason we don't is because the team that brought home the servo skulls
beats the other one.
The team that didn't.
ATC is going to be tough this year,
It's going to be insane. Like, ATC, I am so ready.
ATC is always a very difficult tournament. I have heard that they're planning a British invasion, which, oh boy, is that gonna suck.
Is that... Now, I don't understand enough about the overseas meta, but can they contend with us?
Yeah. Yes, they can. Yes.
Nick Nanavati plus the UK won the ETC.
Right.
Yeah. So they had Nick, but Nick in an 8-man team, one person does not win you that.
Yeah.
Nick's a great player, no disrespect to him at all, but he did not win ETC. The UK won ETC, and he was 1/8 of that. No, they've got fantastic players.
Man, I remember the British invading once before and it didn't work out.
That's
true. I say bring them.
And you know what?
Bring it on.
And hey, they invaded LVO and we took it home. USA, baby. But no, that's absolutely something you gotta take legit. If you're looking at Manny Chima, some of the ETC guys, they're fantastic players. They're all really cool dudes too, so I'm very excited if they do manage to make it over the pond. But I'm just saying that's gonna be another top team in the mix in addition to the rising talent level in the United States. Nick Nanavati has founded a new ITC team, the Art of War, based on his coaching service, and he says that he wants to put together an Art of War team for ATC. If that's composed of the coaches on his team, that's going to be players like, Nick Nanavati, TJ Lanigan, Matt Root. That's a crazy high talent level again. So, bare minimum, there's going to be a lot of really competitive teams next year. We're going to try our best, but
absolutely
2 servo skulls is bold and spicy, and I love it. I'm hoping for one, man. I'm hoping for one.
So, how about goal and stretch goal?
All right, goal and stretch goal.
We're going Kickstarter rules now.
So we got to bring home one.
We got it.
We really want to bring home 2. I think there's a lot of potential for that second one, but a couple of us we got to step up.
You got to step up. Hey, you got 6 months to do it, man. Now's the time. Nut up or shut up.
Let's say my goal over the next few months before ATC teams start to fully fledge, I would like to get into a point where I end up of the roster of a competitive team, like team 3 or 4. Let's see how that goes.
Hey, man, I'd love to see it. All right. Did we have anything else today?
Not a topic short enough because we're already almost at an hour, and any of my other topics are going to be at least 30 minutes.
Okay. Well,
but I can tease those topics.
Well, I'll tease the topic as well.
Finagle.
For the next episode, I will be freshly returned from the Great White North of Ottawa, Canada, where I'm heading up to the Canhammer team tournament because I love team tournaments just so much. So myself, Richard Siegler, Andrew Grania, Nick Donavati, Colin Sherman, just a couple of scrubs.
Slow down real fast. Listen to the disrespect. Everybody at Canhammer. I'm talking
Who
to
did I
Canhammer.
disrespect?
Canhammer.
How did I do
Everybody
that?
at that event.
No!
You're disrespecting
How am I
because of the
doing
team you're bringing.
No!
List that team again.
We were just talking about a British invasion. This is the
an
American invasion.
of Canada.
Slower for
Okay.
and louder for the people in the back.
Maybe even throw their ITC placements of 2019.
Well, let's not do that.
No. Look it up. Colin...
I would call it respect. I would say we're respecting them by bringing this team.
I would say that if Colin Sherman is your number 5 and he has won how many GTs in the last 4 months?
I think he's won a GT and a major in the last 4 months.
Oh, what a scrub.
Yeah, so that's...
Well, I don't know if he's...
That's number 5.
I'm gonna respect Colin a little bit here and say I don't think we have a worse player on the team.
That was what I was getting
But
at.
you can tell the team is good when you can't tell who's the boss and you can't tell who's the 5 seed. Because we got...
Hey, Colin, if you're listening, we know you're the 5 seed.
Oh,
I'm just
kidding.
See, you say that, but Colin went deeper into the hardest RTT ever than Lennon
I am
did.
100% kidding.
Okay. All right. So it's me, Richard Siegler, pausing for effect because I was going too fast for Dan.
He was the number 1 ATC player and number 3 ATC player so far. ITC, sorry.
No. Nick Donavati.
What a scrub. I think he finished top 15?
No, he was 10.
He was 10?
He was
number
top
10.
Okay.
Andrew Gagno.
Where did he finish?
I want to say mid-20s.
Oh, man.
I
So
know,
low.
I know.
Man.
And Colin Sherman.
Yeah.
Where was he?
Top 100.
I think 30-something.
So, one thing I would like to say...
Did he get that high? I knew he was kicking ass the second half
He
of
had
the
a
season.
really good close to the season. I think LVO, he went 4-2, I want to say, but
4-2 LVO still
4-2 LVO is great and it's a good score, but he definitely, he won a couple GTs early on in the season, had a little bit of a slow summer, and then immediately he went back to his love as Elvar, won GT, won a major, had a really good list kicking.
Yep.
So he had a great season as well. So I'm very excited about the 5 guys we've got going. Not only are they all fantastic players, and also me, but
4 really good players.
4 really good players, and also me. But they're all really good friends. It's going to be super fun. And it's kind of cool going with a team I wouldn't normally go with, because ATC is business. Mm-hmm. ATC is Brohammer Pride. That's representing Florida. This is representing America. I can go with the friends who I don't normally get to play on a team with, which is cool because I get to pick their brains on the pairings process. Nick Nanavati and I will never do pairings together, ever, for ATC.
Yeah.
Because we're rivals. I mean, he's a great friend, but we're on different teams. We're going into each other. I'm not gonna tip my hand of what I'm playing to him. He's not gonna do it for me until we've already played. But this, we get to go over pairings together. Same with, me and Colin probably will never be on an ATC team together because we live literally the 2 farthest parts of the United States away from each other.
Tip of Florida.
Alaska.
Hawaii is pretty far away.
Alaska's in Canada.
Continental.
Alaska's Canada, and I hope Danny McDevitt listens to this. But, it's really cool getting to be on a team with those guys because it's different from what I normally get to play on teams with.
Yep.
And from what I expect to see in the future. Because in the future, I expect to be on the team with Brohammer members forever. Because I love these guys. So just getting one weird event out of the way that's just a different dynamic than I normally get. I think it's going to be really fun. Plus, I get to go to Canada. I've never been to Canada. I double-checked. My passport still exists, and I know where it is. So that's a good start.
Shoe?
It's... Okay. I neither left it in my shoe, nor did I leave it in the wrong bag 7 hours behind me. Wouldn't do that. Yeah. I think that's all I've got. So that's what I'll talk a little bit about next week. We'll probably go over team tournament stuff because I love team tournaments.
And the lists were submitted on that, so we can talk about lists a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Why you're bringing them.
Next week?
Yeah.
I'm bringing 8 Ridge Runners because I love them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, ecstasy. So,
Okay, hold on.
I have 40 seconds to talk about my experience at LVO, you fuckers.
You have more than that.
So, I went to LVO too, as you may know, and I didn't do great. So, I get off the plane. I'm traveling with the illustrious William Taylor. What a beautiful man. I hope you're listening to this.
Will doesn't actually listen.
You know that I am...
He just lies and says he does.
Oh, man.
Will.
He's
I'll
a good
be quizzing
wife.
you on this part. So, we rode together. We flew together. and that was a wonderful experience. But as we are driving together, I'm like, I'm bringing Space Marines. He's like, oh yeah, cool. So he mentions the Leviathan list, and I was like, the what? Like, I don't know what this is. And then he's like, yeah, John Lennon and some other guys are bringing it. And I was like, dang it, I'm with John Lennon on a podcast. Why is he not sharing his secret tech? And he responds, there's a Brohammer Space Marines chat. They've been talking about it for 2 months. And I was like, I haven't heard anything about this, and I'm playing Space Marines. So he's like, no, for sure, you're in that chat. So he looks it up when we get to the airport. He's like, you're not in that chat. So I show up to LVO with pure intercessors, an apothecary, and Pharaohs, and 2 Invictors, which really didn't end up mattering because I always went second, and the Invictors, as the big boys, would always get shot first. So I never really had the Invictors.
I mean, we had you close, but instead of having a Leviathan that won games by itself, you had Invictors that did nothing.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
but it was very basically the same list.
It was very similar, but also nothing. So I ended up in a matchup where I was playing an Iron Hands player who had a Repulsor, and I found out that the Repulsor easily takes away Intercessors, but the Intercessors don't necessarily return that favor.
No.
So, yeah, I was playing what could be easily described as a subpar Iron Hands list, but it was all painted like Buzz Lightyear, which was really exciting because at least 2 people per game, not including my opponent, would walk by and be like, oh gosh, it's Buzz Lightyear, like Star Command. They take pictures in the middle of the match. And that made me feel really good. That was nice. I also found a really nice ramen shop right outside of the hotel. And it was called Ramenya. If you, the server at Ramenya, are listening right now, I'm sure that you aren't. But if you were, I love you very much. It was a great place to eat. Good beer. It was nice. Also, there was a guy with really greasy hair that walked by on the sidewalk, and he asked me if I like to party, and I didn't know what that meant. I told him no. I found out later he was offering me cocaine, and maybe I do like to party, greasy-haired man, if you're listening. Next time I go, maybe I'll like to party.
No.
No.
You literally have a heart condition. You will die.
2020 goals.
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my LVO experience.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of games. I got offered cocaine. I mean, that's really Vegas, right?
Yeah, that is Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
That's at least half of it.
Losing more than you're winning, being offered things you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
That's the definition of Vegas.
And really, I left our hotel literally once the entire time. Yeah.
But what I like is you came back reinvigorated and with a game plan to
yeah.
play more and more consistently.
I was telling the boys here that after LVO, I was planning on taking a break, which basically consisted of quitting 40k but without selling my models, because I very much like to paint my models. And then after LVO, I was like, Brohammer got #1 in the world, and I want a contributing score. I would like to...
That's a very good goal for the 2020 season.
Yeah, but is it realistic? I don't know. We'll see. So
probably not.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
Lennon and Siegler can only be 6 of 10. Like,
and honestly,
there's 4 spots we're playing for.
Now, I think about this, and Siegler started the game about 3 months prior to myself. He's also new in the spectrum of 40k. He's just a robot. So I aspire to be a robot in 2020.
Time to rid yourself of all emotion.
That's right. Maybe a lobotomy. And I will be as good as Ziegler.
Yikes.
Let's do it.
Well, here we go.
Yeah. So, I keep just, rudely trying to transition without, acknowledging anything you just said.
No, what is the transition? Go for it.
I was just going to give a rundown of things to talk about next week.
Oh, yes.
Which, the Ridge Runner list, I think... Have you played a game with... Yeah, all 3 of us have played a game with it now.
All I have to say is... Sugoi! There it is. Oh, damn, that disrespectful look you're giving me.
Well, the sound you just made. All right.
Just consider that some 40k ASMR.
So all of us have played games with the Ridge Runner list now.
Yep.
We all agree. It is a ton of fun.
It's a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah.
How high this list can fly... We'll find out.
We'll find out very quickly.
But we're going to play it and find out, because that list is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think we'll talk about that more next week. We'll go into more detail on the Canhammer lists that team Charity Hammer is bringing, which is Lennon and Ziegler's team.
Is that what you're calling yourself for the
Yep.
event?
Yeah, Team Charity Hammer.
Nice.
Which also, shout out to Colin. I know we were just talking crap.
Oh.
Colin freaking won, I don't even remember the name of the freaking award, but it's like the Sportsman of the Year award.
I think that is actually what it's called.
Okay, you're the bro of the year. Like, he's an honorary bro because of this. Like, that is the epitome of bromanship. And that is, with the work he has done with Charity Hammer, and raising thousands of dollars for Child's Play, Games Workshop, Frontline Gaming, and Riot Games, which if you remember Riot Games, how they're tied into all this stuff, it's a really cool story.
The creators of League of Legends, for anyone who does not know.
So, exactly. And that's a cool story from 2 years ago when Nick won LVO. But they awarded Colin with the sportsmanship of, like, the Sportsman of the Year award, and donated an additional $15,000 in Charity Hammer's name to Child's Play. So they raised over $20,000 this year alone. Colin and Charity Hammer have raised over $30,000 in total in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that is just amazing and outstanding, and a huge shout out to Colin for all the work he has done. And hopefully we can continue to support Charity Hammer and have more and more events like Charity Hammer come up, because honestly, that is just outstanding.
I don't know like how I would make this happen yet, but the secret dream is to make some kind of charity event in Florida that is focused on cleaning up the environment. Something about plastic and removing plastic from the oceans.
Dude, and if we could
I
have
don't know how we're going to make a pun out of it, but I'm going to make a pun out of it. And if I could like choose a charity, that would be the one, because I'm a big environmentalist and I hate people. But
reasonable.
Yeah.
So,
and Florida, our coral reefs are kind of important.
They're kind of
They're
important.
kind of getting destroyed.
A little bit.
We got the red tide coming every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
The trash island in the freaking ocean, that's a problem.
We could have like an event at a hotel on the beach, and like
Save the turtles.
the buy round, that sucker has to go out there and clean up trash.
You got
with
the
a
buy,
fork.
clean the beach.
Get out there, bitch.
A lot of ideas, and that's a couple years away kind of thing, just because of my own position. But certainly it's great to see that those kind of events exist, and hopefully, not only are they doing fantastic work, hopefully they inspire more people to make this kind of stuff happen.
Yeah. So that I know was a little bit of another jump off of what we were running down.
A little bit, yeah.
At least it's at the end of the episode, not the beginning.
Yep, got that ADD. Because there's just a ton of content that we can cover. And so as we're like talking through it, we're remembering more and more of the stuff. Because it's been, realistically, we haven't recorded regularly for like 2 months.
Yeah,
I think we're basically bi-weekly at this point.
I think
buy something.
We could definitely we could definitely get back into weekly. Right now, it's just been a pretty heavy volume of events and like
life.
Yeah, like family events.
Life has been weird, and the events have been coming fast.
We'll get back into weekly, right? We're aspiring.
I believe that. Almost.
Somehow. But also next week, we can, not saying we have to, we do like some listener feedback in general on this. But we're considering talking about the Thousand Suns and what they got in Psychic Awakening, Grey Knights, and all of the stuff they got. They're going to be very good. And we, as always, are down for answering listener questions. If you have questions, if you have stuff you want us to cover, if you want us to like throw us a topic, ask us a question, we'll talk about it. You can find us on any of our social medias to do that. Facebook Messenger is probably the one I respond to the quickest.
Yes.
So that would be the one I would say, but hit us up on any of them.
Yeah, and also there's another Psychic Awakening that's supposed to be coming out fairly soon.
With Gene Stealer Cult.
Gene Stealer Cult and Tau. And
Tau.
Potentially Astra Militarum.
Yeah.
I think all three of them.
It's those three.
Yeah.
So maybe Sisters?
May have more to talk about.
I don't know if they're doing 4 factions or they're 3, but definitely Gene Stealer Cult and Tau.
I'm very curious about what Tau will have affected. Like, what can you change about Tau that will be dynamic?
We'll see. There's rumors.
We will have an answer
can
to
talk
that very
about that
soon.
later.
Yep, we'll have an answer to that one soon.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that being said, let's wrap this thing up.
Yes, we love you all. Have a wonderful day filled with wonderful Warhammer dice rolling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
May you roll 3s.
instead
Not
of
twos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May your scouts live forever.
Hands, have a wonderful 2020.
Yep. Like, subscribe, find us on all this stuff, and leave us feedback.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.